good afternoon. Good afternoon, Toronto. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce Rose to the Cool Breeze Experience Show. My name is Curtis Anthony. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you at Radioregent. We're going to talk a bit of your evolution, your vision, your mission, and your spirituality. But before we get on to the meat of things, how have you been?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting us here today.
You're welcome. Rose, I'd like you to tell the fans about the Sarah's Ride, a mountain biking event for PTSD at CAMH, please.
Yes, Sarah Rosen, very dear friend and firefighter.
Okay.
Last May 2016, had a tragic accident at Kelso Park in Milton.
Okay.
She come off her bike and passed at Kelso Park, and it kind of just struck us, I'm sure, as it did her family. We're her work family. She's a firefighter.
Okay.
And I also am a firefighter. I'm an acting captain with Toronto Fire.
Right.
And Sarah and I and a few of the other ladies there are very close.
Okay.
As you can imagine.
Right.
Network, laughing, engaging, talking. And the loss of Sarah hit us all so hard. And so a type of recovery, we thought we could help raise funds, raise awareness for the causes that she had in her life. She was a fighter for a cause. She was a fighter with a heart, and she never backed down from a challenge or an engagement, and she helped to engage all of us.
Right.
And I must admit, prior to Sarah passing, we were more passive supporters of Sarah's causes, and all of this, and we're active supporters of the PTSD research and treatment. CAMH is one of Sarah's causes.
Excuse me.
And also kidney donation. Sarah donated her kidney to her brother.
Noble task.
That was about 12 years ago. And also positive spaces, a positive work environment for everyone, LGBTQ2 as well as everyone. And she was definitely an advocate for positive spaces. So her charity, the Sarah Rosen Trust Fund, has allowed us to use the Sarah's Ride as a fundraiser.
Okay.
For awareness for all of these charities, but also to bring us together to do something good.
And that's important.
Yes.
Because what we're missing today, as a time I remembered, people were a little more tighter together as a community, cared a little much, like when you went away, the neighbor would keep an eye on the house, any strange things. Now we seem to be locked into a different kind of dynamic. I don't want to be bothered.
Yes.
It's not my thing. Lock my house and turn off the world. But a lot of these people don't understand that when something drops on they don't care about what's going on outside, but when something drops on your doorstep, you want the world to stop and hear you.
Yes.
Which is, you have to be a little more.
It's a funny story that you could imagine. If you buy a red Volkswagen Bug,
right,
and you're driving it down the street, you look, oh my goodness, there's another one.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a blue one.
Okay.
Oh, there's a green one. You notice the things because all of a sudden it's in your world.
Right.
It's in your view.
Right.
And it's the same with a kidney dysfunction. If I was to sadly occur a kidney problem, I would be very aware of the community for kidney donation, the community for organ donation and dialysis. And it's the same with PTSD.
Right.
Police, fire, ambulance, emergency workers, security guards, jail guards. We see things no one sees. Every day.
Right.
You might occur it.
Okay.
But now it's in our bubble.
Okay.
My bubble, just like the red Volkswagen. Now I see my friends, my associates, co-workers, people in the community suffering from PTSD, and Sarah made a voice, and CAMH makes a voice, of course. And so this fundraising is in our heart, like it's close to our heart on things that we want to do, things that touch us deeply in our soul.
Yes, what I was driving home is that love and compassion and that caring
Yes.
we need to bring back instead of the things of intrinsic value and where I work and how much I make and I don't need to hear your story sort of thing.
Yes.
We got to come back to that community thing.
Yes.
And but look what's going on in Houston and Dallas.
Yes.
Our world could be changed in 1 second.
And the kindness
Yes.
of strangers, the
Yes.
kindness of neighbors,
Mhm.
the kindness of people who don't have no familiarity or don't even come from the same area. Boats with trucks lined up down the highway to come launch their boat, to come save people and their animals.
Mhm.
It's food.
Sure.
Yeah, Canada's sending tons of diapers, formula, things that they've asked us for. We're ready. We're on the ready.
That's good, and that's the great thing
Mhm.
with Canada. We're a trademark. We're like a copyright for the world too. When it comes to help,
Yes.
we're always there first.
Yeah, yeah.
You gotta love that,
Mhm.
and we gotta teach our kids and niece and nephew and the community. This is Canada,
And that's what I think-
what we represent.
With Sarah missing,
Mhm.
in a moment, in a heartbeat, there's a void. There's a voice missing.
Yes,
An active voice
Mhm.
that did not live in a bubble.
right.
Went around popping bubbles. Oh, you live in this bubble? Pop. You live in this bubble? Pop.
And you love that.
And I think she's fantastic and motivational.
Yeah.
And that's why we're doing it.
I know-
That's why we're having the event.
And the world needs more people like that
Yes.
because when I spoke to you a couple nights ago,
Mhm.
I hear the passion in your voice.
Yeah.
And Ian, my good buddy, recommended that.
I'm grateful for that. Yes,
You're
yes. What a
welcome.
nice connection.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. He connected
Each
me.
one teach one, each one tell one.
That's it.
Right? Connect. Yeah.
Yes, and I was excited because with my show, I want to be dynamic, not
Yes.
just music.
Yeah.
Dub poets,
Yes.
people with great stories, helping the community like your cause here for Sarah's Ride.
Yes.
Anything that can help the community, local to global, I'm in for that.
Good for
So-
you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was excited, and I heard the passion in your voice about this, and I said, "Got to get you on. Let's make it happen." And on a quick notice, it was just a matter of days.
It's amazing. It's amazing that you were able to fit us in, which
Yes.
we're exceptionally grateful for.
Yes.
And it just shows, like, sometimes when someone hears a need, I can't help but, gosh, I know someone.
Yes, that's
I can't fix that, but I know someone. And that's
Connectivity.
the idea of me coming here and reaching out is that we are trying to reach the community to get riders out. It doesn't matter how good you are. It is not the Olympics.
right.
It is a fun family day. We have children's ride. We have a youth ride. We have just kind of a mediocre ride. And if you're that good, then come on out and smoke someone. Come
Yes.
on out, ride that bike. Show us how it's done and get the number 1, 2, 3. Get that.
Right.
But not everybody's always going to be that good, and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't even have a mountain bike.
Yeah.
On our website we have a rental,
Yes.
and they deliver.
Good.
So you just show up, you make your link before you come, you make sure you look after your bike before you come on the website,
Right.
and then you show up. So we're trying to accommodate. We've had a generous donors. When we call Caledon Fire, I'm a Toronto firefighter,
Okay.
when we wrote Caledon Fire and said, we don't know what to do, we need off-road vehicles to help us should someone get hurt in the woods, or should someone... 2.5 hours later, we have a beautiful email back from Caledon Fire Deputy Chief.
Right.
We will provide you fire truck, off-road gators, and staff.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, my heart, like, thank you, my Caledon Fire family.
Yes.
All you need to do sometimes is ask.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here to do. We're here to ask, what do you think you could do? Even if you just come ride and share love.
That's a
Ride
big step.
and go, or walk. Come
Big
walk
step.
around. Enjoy the site. Enjoy the location is fantastic for your
Right.
family.
Right.
So
That is great. And even when I call DVD, her show is on Friday, and I told her about this, and I said, can we help her out? She says, no problem.
oh yeah, awesome.
The woman's show on Saturday mornings before mine. They were excited about that.
Oh, good.
So everybody's trying to reach out, and I'm very excited about that.
And we really appreciate you
welcome.
reaching out here at Regent, because we are Toronto.
Yes,
We are, aren't we?
Yes,
We're
yes.
all Toronto. We're what make Toronto.
that's right.
So each one reach out and share and
Right.
talk
Right.
and celebrate each other.
That's great.
Mhm.
And I have to ask you though, how is it being a woman as a firefighter?
That's interesting. It's 23 years I've been with fire,
All right.
and it's been a journey,
Okay.
a learning experience for everyone.
Okay.
And you have to be strong, but you have to be assertive.
Right.
And I'm so fortunate.
Good.
I work up at Albion and Kipling,
Okay.
Station 413.
All right.
And I have to say, I have the most remarkable team at every station around me. If we have a house fire, they're right there. They're right there on my back. They know, as a team, what to do. And as an acting captain, if I'm in charge, they know and support me. And
That's
so
great.
it is a challenge. Everything in life is a challenge.
Absolutely.
You know, being a woman banker, being a woman CEO, being a woman DJ, being
They're gonna test
out
you.
of the norm.
Yeah.
They're gonna test you for sure.
Grind you until you
Yes.
can prove yourself,
Uh-huh.
and then everything, the doors open up for
Yeah.
the rest
Mhm.
coming through. Just-
And stay the course.
Yes.
And that's what I mean. We're there for each other too, and that's a good thing.
Yes.
Having a female firefighter that's there for you. And I have to say, there are other female firefighters who also have shone a light for me, and I feel strongly about being there for the younger
Good.
women coming on
Good.
and setting
Good.
an example.
Good. Good. Now, how can people reach you? The cause.
We have a website,
Okay.
and it's www.sarah, SARAS, Sarah's
Sarah.
Ride, RIDE.
Okay.
And if you Google that, search that, Chrome that, Yahoo that, you'll get our website, and it has the details. And it has all Sarah's badge numbers on the logo. The logo is actually the medal that we're offering everyone that rides.
Right.
And T-shirts for
Okay.
people that ride. And volunteers. We have volunteer sign up on that website, so you also get a T-shirt if you sign up. And so the details are on here. The
Okay.
location of the park is on here. We
Okay.
have Twitter,
All right.
and we have Facebook.
Great.
And we so if you Facebook Sarah's Ride, we'll accept you as a friend, of course, just like our site. And
Right.
and we would love to have more
And what date
friends.
is that?
September 23rd, Saturday.
Great.
Yeah, September 23rd.
Great, great, great. So, wow, I'm excited about this. I have to see what guests I have that day. Yeah, so I can maneuver.
Absolutely.
I
We
wanna
would love to have you up.
Experience the Radio Region
Absolutely.
personnel coming down there to represent.
Absolutely.
I think it's a good thing. Wow, I really like this cause because I did years ago, and I'm still involved with the heart and stroke and breast and this and that, and for raising fund and participating, and it's so gratifying.
It is.
Like money can't buy
Yes.
that feeling
Yes.
that you put into
Yes.
to help these people. And I still do that, where you put 40 people on a bike. That's
Yeah.
the cancer stuff,
Yeah,
and we pedal, and we
yeah.
have fun with that, and we raise
The
funds.
big bike. I think
Yeah.
they call it the big bike ride. Yeah.
And everybody's competing at work to see who can pick up the most money, and it's
See?
Yeah, so
and it's good, and
Yeah.
that kind of motivation is positive motivation.
Yeah.
Competition, positive competition.
Yes.
And that's what we're trying to encourage, like
Right.
positive competition. Come on out, and I tell other fire departments, like, if you think you're that good, come on out and challenge us.
Yes.
Police, you think you're tougher than fire? Come on out and show me you're tougher. Or ambulance, paramedics, anywhere, everywhere. Come on out and show us how good you are. Because we would love to challenge you. We would love to challenge you.
Yes, for
All for fun and all for charity.
and those of us who's just tuning in, Rose is here at the Radioregent as we speak live and direct with the Sarah's Ride, benefiting the Sarah Rosen Tribute Fund. The number to call is 647-344 4134, but that's after the interview. We can do all of this. We'll Twitter you up and in the chat box and so on. You have any friends are listening?
Well, I would love to shout out to Sarah's mom and Sarah's dad.
Let's do it.
Ann Rosen and Alan and her brother Mark.
Yes.
And the girls in Sarah's Ride who are there 100%, and that's Susie.
Right.
And Kathy. Right. And Stacy.
Okay.
And Kathy's husband Sean, who's our gopher, and we thank him so much for that. Great. But the team, we could not do it alone. Right. It is so much to get together, and for all the people who have stepped up, right, who have invited me into their home, the artist Lily, who invited me into her home to show me her paintings, and then ended up giving us 5 paintings for a silent auction that's on site here. She's Toronto. She's a Toronto artist. Okay. And for the wonderful family that's stepping up to donate some food for our barbecue, thank you so much for that. And our ice cream truck, and like the things that just keep coming out of the woodwork. Yes. You know, would you guys need that? Oh yes, we do need this. We do need that. Yeah. And so, and the word. We need the word out. Yes. Yeah.
You've got to love that, Bill. Sarah, thanks a lot for coming by, but stand by. We're going to do part 2 of this. I'm going to have Diva D from the Air Candy Show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. She's a little more versed in this area, and Diva, come on here. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi Sarah, it's so nice.
That's all right.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
To actually be here to meet you and to find out about Sarah's Ride, because I know any cause is a worthy cause, because people do not have the knowledge of things like PTSD or positive spaces. We'll start with PTSD. I'm a frontline worker in the mental health and addiction population here in Regent Park and the marginalization. But we do get people or individuals that are working frontline also as firefighters, as Toronto police, and nurses. Like PTSD is I call it a silent killer, because you're educated, you see things, you're a part of something.
You're an educated professional.
Yeah, and people think that, oh, you just saw someone lying there with their guts out, and then the family gets involved, and just the whole trauma of and how that happened. You're expected to clean up your shirt and go home, and maybe 2 hours later you see something even worse than that. And coping with that is what people are not privy on doing, and there's not a lot of organizations that, especially for PTSD, it's not schizophrenia, yes, bipolar, yes, depression, yes, but PTSD, no. And
I think just having the recognition recently by the government that this is sometimes an unavoidable injury, and it is an injury. It is a workplace injury, and I have personal experience with people suffering, colleagues of mine, and bless them. Like, it's just so hard to understand what they're going through, or to see it coming. And we're trying to keep aware and keep our eye and keep our love going to people who are suffering. But the isolation, the reason that they're it's a shock, is because they try to isolate themselves. They try to hide it. They try to cover it up and be strong, because you cannot show weekness. Imagine an officer of the law holding a badge and wearing a vest and competing to be an officer, because you don't just get on. Yeah. And it's all of a sudden there's a crack. Yeah. There's a crack in the shield of your heart, in the shield of your person, your soul. Same with fire. Come on, a firefighter, you're in a parade, you're waving, people are like, oh, I love the firefighter, and they're waving at you, and you're waving back at them, and they're so, and they have an idea of what to fill in the blank there. And to hold up that facade all the time when you're not actually feeling that strong or that brave. Paramedics oftentimes don't have the time to march in parades and do the other things that all the others do because they just don't have the time. And unfortunately, that profession can be marginalized emotionally.
It is a very marginalized, especially down, like I work in this, it's the hardest to serve.
Yes.
It's the most marginalized. And sometimes when paramedics come on a call, they don't mean to, they're already heightened. And is that effective? Well, it's the same guy you picked up 2 days ago who's drunk or on crystal meth or a fentanyl overdose. Like, we see these things. And sometimes even watching an overdose, someone frothing from the mouth is PTSD. And I go home and I call Breeze and I go, oh, well, I had a really bad day and da-da-da-da-da. And sometimes I don't mean
Talk therapy, though.
Yeah, you know.
But talk therapy, it
you
helps.
have to. Because
You have to. And this is what excellent idea is talk therapy. Sometimes when I start talking, I say to a coworker or friend, I'm just venting. You don't need to answer me. There's no response necessary. I'm just gonna vent. I'm gonna get it all out. Because once it's out, you feel like there's more room for breath. There's more room for calm. There's more room for, and although that isn't always the end solution, at least it's a beginning. And nurses and security guards working at the jails. Imagine everyone in there is charged with an offense. Maybe not guilty, maybe guilty, but spitting at them, pushing them, your whole entire career. Imagine this, and then people say, "Why are you suffering? What is it that?" So
they don't see it.
No, and that's what I mean. It's
and
just
they don't expect
that
you
bubble.
to be human in your profession either. Because there's days I go in, slow breeze, and the guy he called me nigger, this, and you have to be so composed and say this person's not well. But you're offending me. You're hurting me. You're in my space. You're in my face, and out of professionalism, you can't do that. But then the next guy wants to hit you, or is in a situation where they're at risk and they're putting you at risk because you have to save them because it's a human being.
I think the PTSD sufferers, the silent ones, are the most in danger.
Oh yeah.
I think I have a few friends that are suffering from PTSD, and I love their voice. I love listening.
So do I.
They write poetry.
Yeah.
Wanda writes poetry, and Wanda paints, and I feel beautiful feelings when I see or read what she's written. She's gifted, and I worry about the silent ones. I worry about the silent.
And those are the walking time bombs because. No one wants to be termed or labeled with an illness.
Yes, and this stigma, right?
And the stigma that goes with it. It's also a responsibility. And I find people with PTSD, because it's not as apparent physically as other illnesses, it's more deadlier on the health, on the person, because of how they handle it and cope with it.
Imagine just everyone has ego of some kind.
Of course.
So we have ego of profession, and dealing with someone with mental health, for years, thank God it's coming around that you do not need to be ashamed to be bipolar or a schizophrenic. Do you think a schizophrenic woke up and said, gosh, I think I'd love to mess my family up today. I think I'd like to turn schizophrenic. Tomorrow I'll do that. No, it happened to them. It is an assault of their person, and then to punish them by labeling and judging. We see this in our profession, don't we? A lot. So now, with this stigma that these other poor people suffer from, do you think I want that on me?
No.
So if I come forward and say, I don't know that I can cope. Oh, are you mentally ill? And then there's that whole stigma, and you're like, no, I'm not. Because your ego, because your pride, and because you see what it has done to other people's families through your profession, through your work. And this is the silent one. This is the ego one. This is the one that finds that moment, and survivors of attempted suicide oftentimes say, but in that moment I thought I needed to die, but in today I don't. Like I survived.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but it was a moment, my worst moment. And you know that. You hear them. I hear them.
Oh, of course.
And so sometimes they're successful. So they don't get that. Oh, it was just a moment,
is the
right?
highest suicide rates, actually. Because when people are experiencing it, could be a manic episode, but an episode, the internal rages so much. Like I have a few clients that are children of war, and taking them out in public, I have to be so careful because of their reaction to noises. Like if they hear a bang, this one guy, he crouches down on the ground and he screams his head off, and you have to emotionally bring him back. Like it takes me an extra 20-30 minutes, but it also has an effect on me because I'm thinking like, don't die, because the heart rate is so high. You know, and just the cause and effect that goes along with PTSD. People could be listening to us today and don't realize that they even have it because of how they go. Like if they're driving in a car or a bus, and certain noises or reactions or even smell.
We call it hypervigilance.
Yeah.
We call it hypervigilance when you hear a sound that's a familiar sound and it makes you react as if what you imagined it to be, it was, and yet you're nowhere near work. You're not. You're in your home, or you're in the mall, and there's a click that our microphone makes before the tones go off to tone us out. And it doesn't matter where I am. If I hear a similar click, I actually expect to go on a call. And so, you know, it's just it's like, I hate to associate myself with a dog, but you can train a dog to associate a sound with an action.
Yes, you can.
You know, a little whistle, oh, we're going for a walk, or we're doing this. So good or bad behavior, you train animals with a sound, and we're animals. We are animals. We're trained with the sound to respond a certain way. And just as this child hears a sound familiar to him of war, and it takes him instantly back to a place of total fear.
And he's in his 40s.
Oh, it's a man.
Yeah, he's a
bless
man.
him. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you know, and I see.
Child or man, it doesn't matter. It's still a sin. But I assume I made assumption it was a child.
And Sarah's ride, I was really excited when Cool Breeze asked me to come down here because I'm also involved with CAMH, with taking clients there and stuff like that. But PTSD really caught my eye because it's almost like the new thing, and it really isn't. It's just people have a voice now, and there's therapy.
It's destigmatized too. They're trying to destigmatize it, and the royal children. Love them or hate them, that's none of my business. I'm so proud of those boys for coming out and saying, you know, it was the worst year of our life losing our mother. It was the worst year of our life having the press in your face all the time. It was the worst, and I don't know, because I did not have that. I have my own story, but at least they're sharing theirs, and at least they're saying we weren't okay. I was not okay after that, and it's okay to not be okay, and that's a beautiful statement. You don't have to live there. I can have a bad day and be depressed for a moment, but I don't need to live there if I have coping strategies and help. CAMH. Teaching, all these special workers, all these frontline workers coping, and then excelling and returning to life.
Yes.
CAMH, thank you so much, and I hope we have a good turnout, and I hope we have a good chunk of money to give to help with PTSD research and treatment.
Yeah, because it's now becoming one of those things that it's like that new disease, and it's been here for a long time. And I know I have clinical depression, so some of the symptoms are the same, but it's not a stigma anymore.
No.
You know, and it doesn't just take
No.
medication anymore.
Yes,
You
no.
know, because before they
No.
would just say, "Oh, PTSD medication." Now there's actual functions and roles and groups, and people are banding together that are like-minded or experience the same thing, and putting it forward. And places like KMH provide
Yeah.
positive spaces, so it doesn't have to be just you know, someone that's off the street and they're supposed to have it. It can be people that are professional.
That's right. And I've watched recently, because the goodness of the internet, the wonder of the internet, it can be foul, but only if you use it that way. I believe I've learned so much. There was a group of World War II veterans that got together and discussed, they called it shell shock back then, and how they came home and they misbehaved, but they acted the exact same way someone with PTSD acts, and now they're older men. And Vietnam, you cannot see that day after day and not come home upset and hurt and broken, and to now have a name for it. It's a shame we lost so many, and it's a shame so many of them. They're absolutely helpable, fixable.
Oh yeah, they are.
Savable.
And functional.
Only if we acknowledge, and only if we destigmatize and accept and learn that it could be someone sitting right in your room at work, and you might think, oh my gosh, I think I overlooked that. So teaching all of us what it is to be aware of, and making an open forum where CAMH has more accessibility to us, to have debriefings, to have talks after an incident where a police officer has seen something terrible, or you know, we have fatalities in fire. Well, we go in, we find them, and we bring them out, and we try to resuscitate them, and then the paramedics try to resuscitate them, and then the nurses try to resuscitate them. So the chain of witness is big for that. So where's the follow-up? Where's the help?
And before, there was no debriefing. You just got to go back. Because I know when I first started doing community work, it was like that for the longest time. But as a consumer survivor now, and I work with consumer survivors, it's a little different, so we debrief. But sometimes you have to really rely on yourself and find coping mechanisms, and just go out there and make that call or talk to somebody else that might be experiencing it, to put things just a little bit back. I've seen people that are professionals that went through traumatic divorces. That just fell apart and stuff like that with PTSD. So it's not just, you know, like, you know, so it's
there's a wide range of symptoms and problems that can cause stress or stress-related illness, and a trauma is what you witness, what you feel, what you live through, what you experience, right? And the trauma is defined in the medical books on each case separately.
Yes, it is.
You can't say, you know, some guy's seen 20 years of something and has never had a problem. Really?
No, he hasn't.
But
of course
but
he
even if they're strong, he or she is very, very strong, and he or she is back on the road, and he or she is, it doesn't mean that very next call isn't the one. But teaching them the things that you just mentioned. You mentioned that you have a way to deal with it. Well, how did you learn that? You got help. And so how do we learn if no one teaches us? How do we, and Sarah was big on that, for being
I was going to just lead into that.
Because she was big on a positive work environment for all. And you've got to imagine that women in the fire service in operations side, where we work on a fire truck, is a very narrow window.
Of course.
A very narrow window, and having that be, there's a way you must perform. You must do well. And if there are 2,500 men and 100 and something women, 200 women, if one of us make a mistake, it's magnified exponentially, because there's so few of us to hold accountable. And yet, one of the, well, it's just Johnny or Bobby or Sam, it's just that guy.
Yeah.
But, did you see what Rose did?
I know.
And all of a sudden, I am a good skill I've learned, been taught, is to learn to laugh at myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to
I
learn.
get it. I'm like, whoa, my bad. I totally confess that, la la la. And that's a good skill to have, but I did learn it over time.
Yeah.
By being laughed at a lot.
Of course. Of course.
I had a lot of brothers help me.
And positive spaces, because not only a lot of people with PTSD might be marginalized because of their race, sexual orientation, and a lot of other things that.
And imagine what they went through to come out, to identify.
Yes, I did identify.
To be original, authentic. So I am a member of our Positive Space Committee.
Okay.
And I joined after Sarah passed.
Okay.
Because I said, no, come on, it's like a horse running wild. Grab the reins. Someone, grab the reins, pull it in. What do we need to do to get it on track and get the horses working together? And I definitely wanted the Positive Space Committee to kick off, to be active in Toronto Fire.
Right on. And I notice in communities, in a lot of areas downtown, they have the symbol that identifies positive spaces, but it also makes more people inclusive, because some people, if they experience something that might be sexual related to their gender, they were not coming forward to get help.
Absolutely. You're shy or ashamed, or I know a few people who have said the positive environment has and knowing that someone's got their back has made it easier for them to be authentic.
Yes.
To identify as who they are, and whatever that may be, to just say, this is who I am. Okay. All right. Good. And so we're still working fires, right?
Yeah, and the treatment of people as well that that use positive spaces, because now it's become law. It's a policy to treat people fairly. And before, I remember working downtown, and I took a client to Emerge, and the comment offended the client because he was gay. And had symptoms of HIV, and I was concerned because he was burning up in a fever. He's living outside. I took him to the hospital, and I was so mortified for that person. But then 20 years ago, you really couldn't say much or do much. You just wanted the help, and sometimes you had to suck it up, and that's PTSD as well.
Yeah.
But for the client, but now they don't have to deal with that. Zero tolerance.
I don't like. It's funny because the word snowflake has been thrown around a lot. Oh, don't be such a snowflake. So easily melting. Oh no, don't. But, you know what I mean? I don't want to raise a snowflake. I don't want to be a snowflake.
Yeah.
But I also, you don't need you to chisel me out of rock.
Yes.
I am totally not made of stone. So if you get a chipping device and a sledge and you start hitting me, I'm gonna hurt. So there's that line between melting and being a rock.
Yes.
And if you're a rock, any good mason, any good stonemason worker will tell you, if you hit it the wrong way, it just crumbles.
Yeah.
You have this beautiful David, and you go see the statue of the David, and it's like a magnificent piece of work. But only because it was gently dealt with.
Yes, of course.
And it was made that way. And if only we could treat each other like that. If only we could treat each other as if we were a beautiful statue or important. Because we are.
We are.
And it's just such a shame that we just feel we can take that sledge and axe and smash, and that's not right. But I also don't want to be so sensitive that's like, oh my goodness, I better not say anything. She's easily offended. I'm not.
Yeah. And Sarah's Ride takes place September 23rd, 2017. And they're on
Albion Hills.
Albion Hills and also on Twitter and Facebook. And it's a mountain biking event, and they have bikes for rent. And giving back to our community is always a positive thing because we can't raise a child without support. So we're raising up Sarah's Ride today. And Rose, thank you for coming down.
Thank you for having me so much.
And speaking about this, and we'll promote it on our shows.
Thank you.
And for anyone that doesn't know what PTSD is, there's a link on KMH website, and it tells you a little bit about it. And Positive Spaces as well. You can check out 519.
Please, yes, the 519.
Yeah.
The 519.
So they also have information about Positive Spaces, and people that are listening in today, and you have any questions for Sarah, you can check them out on www.sarahsride.com. And we thank you for coming down today, because I could have talked to you all day because it's a really interesting thing.
Thank you.
And it's a positive thing. Cool Breeze and I are trying in our own way to give back to our communities, but also embrace subjects and community events that should be noticed, should be on the forefront, and we want to create a positive space as well. Good. You know, so thank you for coming down.
Thank you very much.
All right, Cool Breeze, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, this is Rose Saunders Wilson. You are listening to Radio Regent.